Good evening, ARC members, and welcome back from our summer break. Before we call the meeting to order, we do not have our chair, Tom Jakeway, with us tonight. Unfortunately, he was unable to make it. So the first order of business, we will need to nominate a chair. I would like to nominate Member Payline to assume the chairmanship for this meeting. So if we could have a vote of the ARC to accept that, or a second, I guess, first. Second. Thank you, Member Walsh, and we'll take a roll call on that. We'll start Member Walsh.
Voting yes.
Member Thompson.
Voting yes.
Member Dozy.
Yes.
Member McCoy.
Yes.
And Member Payline.
Yes.
Thank you. So Member Payline, Chair Payline for tonight, you may begin the meeting and call it to order.
Thank you. It is 5:30 and this is the September 18th, 2023 meeting of the Architectural Review Committee. Advisory. Please silence all cell phones and pagers. Planning staff, please.
Yes, good evening, Member Payline.
Here.
Member Walsh.
Here.
Member Thompson.
Here.
Member McCoy.
Here.
And Member Dozy.
Here.
Thank you, we have a quorum.
Great. Does the committee have any revisions to the agenda? No. Seeing none, move to accept the agenda.
I so move.
Second.
Before we call a roll on that, this is probably missing from your script since it's an old one. We'll just do a report on the posting of the agenda for the public record. So the agenda was available for public access at the City Hall bulletin board on the west side of the council chambers by 9:00 p.m. on Thursday, September 14th, and posted on the city's website as required by established policies and procedures. Thank you. Sorry for that.
Thank you, Director. I was going to grab that. So thank you. Okay, so on the vote for the acceptance of the agenda, Member Walsh.
Aye.
Yes. Member Payline.
Aye.
Member Thompson.
Aye.
Member Dozy.
Aye.
Thank you. And Member McCoy, thank you. Yes, thank you. Motion passes.
Great. Okay, since this is a public meeting, audience members are permitted to comment on any issue that's within the committee's purview. Comments on an item appearing on today's agenda are made at the time the item is presented. If you want to speak on an item not on today's agenda, you may speak now. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Is there anyone here who wants to comment on an item that is not on today's agenda? If so, please come to the microphone, give us your name and address for the record, and proceed. Seeing none, we will proceed to the meeting minutes from the last meeting, which there weren't any posted. We'll turn the page and proceed to agenda item 2.
Actually, we have a consent calendar today, and I do apologize for those listening in. We've given an old script to our members. So we will first go to the consent calendar, item number 1.
Consent calendar item number 1A, a request by Tree Dispensary for approval of a sign permit for 2 wall signs on an existing building and a directional sign located at 63758 Way, Zone M2.
And Mr. Chair, if you want to read out item 1B, unless any members of the committee wish to pull these items, we can vote on them together.
Great. Item 1B, a request by the Palm Springs Dispensary for a sign permit to replace 2 existing signs with 2 new wall signs on an existing building and modify an existing monument sign located at 690 Garrett Avenue, Zone M1P.
I think at this point you can entertain any motion or discussion, or if any member wants to pull the item, otherwise entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent calendar.
The second.
Very
All
good.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion passes 5-0. Now you can go ahead.
Proceed to agenda item number 2. New business. A request by M Design Group Inc. on behalf of Brandon Riker for a minor architectural application to construct a 609 square foot detached accessory structure and a terrace at an existing hillside single-family residential property located at 1655 Ridgemore Drive. Can we have a staff report, please?
Yes. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As introduced, this is a request for the approval of a minor architectural application for proposed 609 square foot accessory structure and a terrace of an existing hillside single family residence. Right. Oh, nice.
Down arrow.
Oh, okay. This is the image of the existing single-family residence. The applicant is proposing to construct an addition in the rear of the property. The subject property approaching from the Andreas Hills Drive. The project site is a third residence on the south side of Ridgemore Drive. And as you see in this area view, the project site is already developed with an existing single-family residence. By the zoning code definition, any property that includes any area that's 10% or more slope is considered hillside. And it's very hard to see, but this property includes an area that's more than 10% in slope along the south property line. And for generally speaking, minor additions to a hillside property is subject to review and approval by the Director of Planning Services. However, in this case, because addition exceeds 500 square feet, the project is in front of you tonight. It does require ARC review and approval. This is a proposed site plan. The project will be implemented at the southwest corner of the property. The proposed project includes a 609 square foot accessory building and a 250 square foot terrace, as well as a 5 foot high wall, which is going to function as a sound barrier. And these are the images of the project area. The property has an existing mature hedge along the south property line and as well as west property line. And the proposed accessory building will be located in a sloped area. And the image located at the lower left side, this is a view of the project area seen from the street. Because of the distance and the location of this accessory structure, the visibility of the proposed project will be relatively limited from the street. And this is a proposed floor plan. The applicant is proposing a wet bar as well as an outdoor shower. And because the project is not designed with a permanent cooking facility, this is not an accessory dwelling unit, just for the record. And here are the proposed elevations. The primary elevation of the accessory structure is a north elevation, which is going to accommodate glazing, which includes the windows and the sliding door. And no windows or sliding doors proposed on the west elevation. And while one door is proposed on the east elevation, this will be the door which is connected to outdoor shower restroom. And the applicant is proposing the application of 2 paint colors by Dan Edwards. And these are the color samples, and the frame of the proposed window and door system will be dark anodized aluminum. This is the details of the proposed terrace and roof. The terrace is accessible via stairs, and there will be a 42-inch high wall, which is going to separate the terrace area from the roof of the accessory building. And the terrace area will be defined by this 42-inch high wall and a 3-foot high wall. And the area will accommodate a 19-inch high bench and a 19-inch high fire pit. And applicant is not proposing the installation of any rooftop equipment such as solar panels. So this will be a roof which is not accessible. And this is a section of the proposed accessory building. The terrace area is going to be located between the 42-inch high wall and the 3-foot high wall. And as the staff mentioned earlier, the applicant is proposing to construct a 5-foot high wall as a sound barrier in response to public comments that the city received from the nearby residents who's concerned about the potential noise that's generated by the use of the terrace area. The slope of this project area is approximately 25.6%. And here's another section of the proposed accessory structure. East elevation, there will be an outdoor shower located along the east elevation, and this section shows that. And these are the details of the terrace area. Again, the 3-high-foot wall, and there will be an additional wall, which is a 5 feet as a sound barrier. And following the receipt and the review of the application and the concepts, staff has determined that the proposed project generally meets the required findings of the architectural and the hillside review criteria. And the staff also finds that the proposed project involves incidental landscape alterations. However, mature, well-established plant materials will be retained, and no changes to the character of the proposed project area will be caused by these incidental landscape alterations. The submitted plan sets did not include any information pertaining to outdoor lighting, and for the reason, the staff is recommending a condition of approval, which requires any future outdoor lighting installation to be subject to the requirements of the city's outdoor lighting standards should the property owner wish to install such equipment as a part of this project. And finally, the implementation of the recommended conditions of approval will not alter the nature of the project or the character of the proposed design. So that being said, the staff recommends that the ARC adopt a resolution and approve the project subject to conditions of approval attached to the draft resolution, which is attachment number 2. And this concludes the staff presentation, and the staff and applicant are both available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Great. Questions for staff?
So there's no lighting on the building, no soffit lighting or anything for the front door to get to the access to the.
There was no information pertaining to lighting provided as a part of this packet. So applicant can clarify whether that's a part of their scope of work at this point, or that's something that they will address in the near future as a part of the plan check or not. But regardless, any outdoor lighting has to conform to the city's outdoor lighting standards, and that's recommended as a condition of approval by staff.
Okay, thank you.
So did the 5-foot retaining wall satisfy the neighbors' issues with the sound?
And this is something that the applicant can confirm too, but it is my understanding based on the email communication that was going on, the person who submitted the public comments is aware that the applicant is proposing this 5-foot high wall as a sound barrier. Before the meeting, staff did send an email to the person who sent the email, provided public comments to let the person know that this item is subject to ARC review today, and the staff did not receive any emails or comments from the individual.
Okay. Any other questions? Looking online, no. Okay, is the applicant present? If so, please come up to the mic, give your name and address, tell us about your project. You have 10 minutes to present and 2 minutes of rebuttal if desired after any public comment.
Hey guys, Mariano Ramirez. Can you guys hear me well?
You're a little bit muffled, so you may want to speak into your microphone a little bit clearer, but we can.
Is this any better?
Yes.
Great.
Great. In regards to the lighting, because of the preliminary aspect of the submittal for planning, there was no lighting or electrical plan designed for it. For the purpose of this submittal, I did mention some, low voltage landscape lighting leading to the casita from the main residence. And for the conditions of approval, we'll probably do some recessed LED lights on underneath the soffit of the overhang on what would be the north side of the proposed structure. Yeah, I think that was the only clarification needed. If there's any other clarifications, let me know and I can answer to my best knowledge.
Great. Public comments from the audience. Please come to the podium and give your name and address. You have 3 minutes. Anyone? Seeing none, we will conclude public comment on that item and give applicant rebuttal. There is no rebuttal. Any questions for the applicant from the ARC? Yes, sir.
I do.
John?
A few questions here. I'm trying to kind of get a better grip on the drawings. Is the finished slab level of the house the same as the finished slab level of this, we'll call it a casitas, maybe?
I believe the civil engineer designed it to be, if not inches, to identical of the finished floor.
Okay, and as I look at the plan, how do I enter into the space? I see one sliding glass door. Is that the only point of entry?
As of the current design, yes, correct.
Okay, and in terms of the roof framing, how are you achieving slope with that?
We're proposing slope with roof foam or some sort of application, whether it's on top of the built-up. It'll be white foam roof installation with some slope away from the terrace area, going to the west side.
Okay. Okay. And how are you handling HVAC, cooling, condensers, things like that?
There's a proposed mini split condenser on the west exterior wall, which would power the probably a 2-ton wall mounted mini split.
And how would that get us air into the bathroom and the bathroom area?
As of now, we're proposing the exhaust fans for airflow movement. If not, once we get into construction documents, then we'll refine the HVAC system. If maybe we need to drop a secondary in-ceiling unit, possibly, if the exhaust fan would not provide sufficient airflow.
Okay. Are any of the windows operable that are facing north? Do I have north correct?
That's correct. Other than the slide door, if that's considered the sliding door, if that's considered a window, I believe the only one is a fixed.
Okay.
North side.
Okay, if I am walking up the stair that takes me up to this upper terrace, on the left-hand side, it's just drawn as the stair terminates. What do I see? What is the grade condition next to that stair?
In terms of a grade condition, it would be an infill, so it would be if not flush, then close to flush to a railing height. I know there's the proposed block wall is just feet away from that area, so I would assume it's matching the finished floor of that terrace as an infill, a proposed infill.
Okay, and I'm just trying to imagine, it's like, so does that block wall descend with the stair? I mean, we're just kind of missing some
No, it would not
context.
descend with the proposed block wall that's used for screening, if that's what you're
Yes.
referring to, would be a fixed height. It would not descend.
Okay, we're just kind of a little bit lost in terms of that plan and how it drops into the adjacent grade. That's kind of my question.
Yeah.
Okay, can you take us through the issue of the acoustical attenuation and the attempt at a 5-foot wall of mitigating that?
Yeah, I believe the concern came from the adjacent neighbor on the south side, being that there's, I believe, a ficus line, which would create a little to no barrier for any sort of sound or acoustics. So the block wall would work in place as a permanent screening aspect for that purpose. And if need be, we can replant some sort of ficus hedge along that line to provide some additional screening visually. But our intent is to provide at least a physical barrier, more permanent barrier between adjacent neighbor to the south.
Okay. And then there are no real improvements up at this upper terrace, are there? I mean, you go up there with the intent of sitting down or something. It's just a point of termination. I'm missing something. Is there a view?
When we did the initial design, there's a really nice shot. I'm not sure what mountains they are, but they are to the west side, which I believe is the intent of the terrace, the rooftop terrace. If not, it's just a nice separated program space from the current entertaining spaces in the bottom level of the pool area.
Okay. In my experience, they tend to be sort of tricky spaces. Conceptually, they're good. They have a lot of sort of interest to them, but do people use them? And it just seems a bit disconnected from life in the balance of the house. It's sort of like, I'm trying to think of another example, atriums. It's sort of like it looks like it should be just a real swell piece of the house. But I really do kind of question it. There's sort of a bunker quality, and then we've got the terrace upstairs that's just sort of disconnected. Anyway, I appreciate your answering some questions here just in terms of the technical put together of this thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
I had one as well in terms of the roof terrace. Is there any lighting on the roof terrace itself?
There is no proposed lighting at the roof terrace.
Okay.
Other than a potential lighting aspect from the proposed fire pit.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking because if you do go up there when it's dark, before you light the fire pit, I'm thinking you're probably going to need some kind of pathway lighting or some kind of built-in lighting, maybe at the bottom of the bench or something to provide, to prevent tripping and killing yourself. Yeah,
and I do agree. As we had mentioned to Noriko previously, the only proposed lighting that we had or intended at this point was some low voltage landscape lighting, which can be achieved on the terrace there as well, and potentially on the stairs as well.
Right. Okay, and then my only other I guess I can wait for comment on that. Any other questions for the applicant?
I have a question. So the roof terrace is just limited to the rear part where it is showing the grade to be filled. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right. And then there's just like a 21-inch or 22-inch wall that separates that area from the actual roof of the casita.
Correct.
Okay. What with the grade in the area that's being filled as we go south, does that grade continue to climb or does it go lower? What I'm just kind of trying to get a feel for the grade on the adjacent property.
Yeah, there's at least within the parameters or the perimeter of the property, it is fairly leveled until you reach that back screen wall that's being proposed. So it's kind of a continuum of the terrace finished floor elevation.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Dan?
On the roof, you propose there's going to be a foam roof that's white. And that's going to be kind of stark when someone's sitting up there during the daytime hours. I think you may want to consider doing something more in a tan. That would be a little more pleasing when you're up there.
Noted. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, with no more questions, Noriko, did you have something to add?
Yes, I just want to clarify something. Maybe, Moshe, I know you had a question about the public comments that were received. The public comments actually provided by the neighbor to the west, not the south. I just want to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. All right, seeing no other questions, we'll start discussion by the committee. Would like to start.
Sure. And it would help me if I could ask something of staff. There we go. A roof deck would be allowed, correct?
Typically, yes, as long as it meets the maximum building height. So imagine if this applicant wanted to have a roof deck on top of the structure.
Yes.
Yes, that's feasible, given that the maximum building height is within what's permitted under the code, which will be 12, including the safety guardrail.
Okay. At 12 at the point of setback, and then it climbs to 18.
Yes, that's the general rule of
Okay.
that, yes.
Okay, I'm just, one of the things I'm kind of struck by, it's like, it's sort of a serious grading project and retaining wall project that this embarks on back there. And it just would be something I think I would have looked at. Perhaps that did happen, just in terms of a roof deck, number one. Number two, anything that kind of pushes it a little bit away from the neighbors, a lot away from the neighbors, would probably be an appreciated characteristic of it. So those are just things that I kind of look at a very schematic and basic massing of the building level. The other thing that there is, well, it's an aesthetic issue, but the elevation of the front of the casitas doesn't give much back to the house or whatever. That's on their property, and so it doesn't really impact anything from the street. So you can thwart that last comment. Thank you.
I'll go next. I agree with John's comment about the visual structure not having much appeal from the house side, but I think that given that it's so isolated to this particular property, if that's what the owner wants, then that's what they should be able to build as long as it's within code. I would suggest that they have some kind of lighting to the front door so that you can actually find it in the dark. And I also agree with John's comment about the fire pit up on the roof area. It's probably not going to be utilized or used. And so I'd maybe reconsider adding that part, especially given the concerns of the neighbors.
I'll go. John McCoy. So I concur with what has been stated so far. And in looking at the hillside review criteria, number 6 notes that the residences on each side have built projects, accessory structures, and I have no problem with this accessory structure being built. I do have a problem with the roof, the terrace back there. You've got, this neighborhood is typically half-acre lots, and to go jamming it into the back corner where you get the maximum amount of sound going towards your neighbors. Even with a 5-foot wall, people standing up sound, that's mouth level. So I don't believe that will really take care of the sound issue. If you're standing on that terrace facing towards the fire pit, you're looking at a roof, which is not a great view right there. You've got the main residential roof in your view. And then across the way to the hills, you've got residential houses sitting up there with their pools in their backyard and huge sliding glass doors or large pieces of glass that open up to their living rooms and their private spaces. So I just don't feel comfortable about putting people in the most remote corner of the property where it can be so intrusive to the neighbors.
It's permitted.
Great, thank you, John.
Yes.
Tom, any comments?
I do. I think when I look at the site plan, and I think one of the other members had brought it up as well. It seems that there's a missed opportunity well, there's a couple issues. One, I think the wall system the proposed wall system they're showing needs to tie into the existing wall system shown on the plan to make that grade transition. It feels like it's missing some pieces. And even if you did that, there's the opportunity to have that stairway, come up and then, not just go along the side of the building all the way up in a straight shot, but it could start more in the yard area, come up, then maybe turn, have a landing and turn and then continue up. So I think from a site plan area that there are some missed opportunities here to better integrate the stairway and the retaining walls into the existing retaining walls and solve some of the grade issues.
Great, thank you, Tom. Yeah, I would concur with everyone else. I don't have as much of an issue with doing the terrace itself. I just, the comment about the roof kind of brought to me the idea that you are going to be, your view is basically looking right directly over the roof of the casita. So, I'm just not sure it's going to give the bang for the buck you're looking for, in my opinion.
And I think just to caution the members in this decision, the terrace is actually permitted in the zoning code. So I think in terms of how you all, have this debate and make your decision, I think providing architectural feedback and how we can improve it is a good conversation to have, but it really is permitted. So I don't know that the decision before you tonight is whether or not it's allowed to be there, just to be clear.
Okay, I think that wraps up discussion. Do we have a motion? Crickets.
Well, I'll make a motion for approval, but with the recommendations and comments as stated, and to request the applicant to take a look at better integrating the proposed retaining wall and screen wall system into the existing terraced planter wall along the back. It's a little bit hard to tell without any top of wall elevations of that existing planter, but I think there needs to be a tie in there rather than just the contours from a site planning area.
I'll make a second, but I'd like to add a condition with Tom's approval is that the roof be changed from white to tan. I think that white's going to be too stark.
Accepted. Modify the motion to include tan roof color.
And I'd like to add as well about the lighting needs to be reviewed by staff as well prior to approval.
Motion amended.
And seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So your unfinished business, that's not on here.
Committee member comments.
Any committee member comments? Any staff comments?
Yes, welcome back, everyone.
Yes.
I'll be quick though. So first of all, we've been having an ongoing conversation about remote meetings and ability to participate remotely, and we were able to get clarification today from the city clerk's office that as long as we meet a quorum in some combination of in-person and remote, we're able to hold the meeting. So for those watching and for the committee members, that is how we are able to host tonight's meeting with just 3 members present, because luckily we have 2 of our members online. But I just want to caution again that sort of window is narrowing on our ability to do that. And we expect that after our December meetings, we will no longer have that ability, short of you posting and advertising your home or wherever you are as a meeting location, which is something I'm sure nobody wants to do. So just a heads up that is sunsetting at the end of the year. And then additionally, I believe we had circulated and announced that we were in the process of recruiting for new ARC members. I think a number of you are continuing to serve, which we are so grateful for, despite your terms coming up for expiration, and a few members are not able to be reappointed, so we will be looking to recruit several new members to the committee. We're going through that process now and looking through applications, but would certainly like to give another plug to anyone listening, and certainly to our experts on the committee itself. If you have anyone in mind that you think would be good to serve on the committee, we would love very much if you could, put them in touch with us or have them submit an application. The application link is available on the city's website, and I'm happy to circulate that again. But we are hoping to go through that interview process and have new members seated just as quickly as we can, based on the applications that we receive. So that is it for me. Thank you.
Great. So with no other business, we will adjourn at 6:06 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.